Welcome to This Week in Astrology. This is episode number 424 for the second half of June 2016. This Week in Astrology is the free podcast that deepens your astrological wisdom. We always start with the astrological forecast and regularly feature listener emails, recorded listener consultations, and interviews with other astrologers. Make This Week in Astrology a regular part of your astrological education. Thanks so much for listening. I'm your host, Benjamin Bernstein, broadcasting from the virtual location of thisweekinastrology.com and the physical location of Asheville, North Carolina. To get to a specific part of the show, including the forecast for a particular day, check out the index at the very end of this MP3. You can also see this index in writing at thisweekinastrology.blogspot.com. This is a shorter show. I do have a special feature at the end of it I'll tell you about in a second. We start, as always, with the forecast for the half month, in this case for the second half of June. And then I'll have a few quick announcements. And then I do something I don't know that I've ever done before. I kind of just give some commentary on recent stuff. I talk about the recent shooting at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, the worst mass shooting in U.S. history, the murder of the singer on The Voice. And I try to put that in perspective for you, talking about how, while it appears that things are getting darker and darker, in fact, it is the last gasp of the darkness as the light breaks through more permanently. And I give you specific things you can do to do your part to not only bring more light into your own life, but more light into the world itself. So if you like, that commentary is there for your listening, and I hope you find something helpful in it. So let's begin, as always, with the forecast. And this may be the longest forecast I've ever done. There's a lot of content here, and so get comfy because I have a lot to tell you about for the second half of June. The second half of June is jam-packed with astrology events. A Saturn-Neptune square empowers you to manifest, awaken, and release. 2 grand crosses further energize the square, Mars finally turns direct, and a Jupiter-Pluto trine invites prosperity. We also have a powerful summer solstice chart, a Sagittarius full moon, Chiron turning retrograde, 3 grand trines, and a mystic rectangle. Wow, lots to talk about. What's old as we come into this forecast period for the second half of June? We've got a waxing moon. We've got a Yod through the 17th with Sun, Venus, and Mars and Uranus through the 24th. We've got a Grand Cross with Vesta, Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune. And now nearing completion, that T-square with Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune through July 1st. As we speak here, we have 4 retrograde planets. Mars is backwards through the 29th of June. Also retrograde are Saturn, Pluto, and Neptune. So that's the status quo. Let's talk about what's happening day by day. On Thursday, June 16th, the Grand Cross featuring Vesta, Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune that started on June 1st peaks today and ends on June 24th. To repeat highlights of what I said about this aspect pattern in my forecast for June 1st, in a nutshell, the Jupiter-Saturn-Neptune T-square at the heart of this Grand Cross can empower law of attraction manifestation and spiritual embodiment, as well as structural disintegration and inspired reconstruction. Vesta represents devotion to a higher cause, but this is only the external expression of some of Vesta's deeper meanings: focus, self-purification, and self-discipline. Vesta is associated with the sacred flame. Its spiritual heat can burn away the psychic sludge that muddies your awareness of your soul purpose and the inherent divinity we all share. Vesta can help you do the inner work necessary to attain your deepest possible functional awakening. The inner archaic face of Vesta is that of a spirituality that sees sex as a means to practice a religious devotion. And I talked a lot more about it on the last show. You can listen back to that episode if you like, or just go to astroshaman.com and read the forecast for June 1st for the full forecast I gave about that Grand Cross with Vesta. On Friday, June 17th, one of the biggest astrological events of 2016 is a potent Saturn-Neptune square. Saturn, 12 Sagittarius, Neptune, 12 Pisces. This is a match made in heaven for law of attraction manifestation, dissolving structures that don't serve you, and embodying divine consciousness in your everyday life. Let's look at the big picture first. The following bit is a bit technical, but we'll be past it in a moment. This Saturn-Neptune square was in orb, but not yet exact, December 2014 through early May of 2015. Saturn and Neptune took a breather, then came back into orb, which means close enough to connect energetically, in late September of 2015. Their square was exact on November 26, 2015, will perfect again on September 10th, and remains in orb through mid-November, and of course, it's exact today on June 17th. One great way to use Saturn-Neptune aspects is with law of attraction work. For a brief law of attraction primer, see my post, The Law of Attraction Made Simple, on astroshaman.com. Just type that title into my search box in the upper right corner, The Law of Attraction Made Simple. In this context, Neptune represents visualization and imagination, while Saturn represents crystallization and material manifestation. Everyone's manifestation juju is amplified through mid-November, while the Neptune-Saturn square is in orb. To learn why Saturn and Neptune have this effect, see my other post, An Astrological Signature for the Law of Attraction, also on astroshaman.com. Another of the archetypal possibilities of this aspect is the dissolution, Neptune, of the structures, Saturn, that didn't serve you and don't serve you. And they might have served you, but they don't anymore. You get the idea. These structures could be physical or energetic, material objects, relationships, ways of thinking, and ways of being. I recommend releasing these things intentionally. You might as well, since the things in your life that have passed their due date will be slipping away in any case. My all-time favorite use of Saturn-Neptune aspects is to integrate my ecstatic divine consciousness, represented by Neptune, into my 3D reality, Saturn. If you don't already have a quick and effective way to do this, and want to routinely experience more harmony, flow, ease, and grace in your life, check out my free Heal and Awaken invocations on astroshaman.com. On a computer in the upper right corner, you'll see a purple banner on the sidebar. It says Heal and Awaken invocations. Click it. It'll take you to a page that will tell you all about these techniques. If you're on a phone or a tablet, you may need to scroll down a bit to find that purple banner. Let's look at some other Saturn-Neptune considerations. We can deepen our Saturn-Neptune interpretation by adding Saturn's sign, Sagittarius. Its meanings include higher education, religion, philosophy, foreign influences and travel, the call to adventure, teaching others about the meaning of life, celebration, euphoria, and unlimited abundance. Be mindful of what you have going on in these areas. If there's a lot of flow, ease, and inspiration, Neptune's giving them a big thumbs up. If things are dissolving away no matter what you do, it's time to let them go. Now, why haven't I talked about Neptune's sign? Because it's Pisces, which has exactly the same meaning as Neptune. So Neptune's placement in the sign it co-rules gives us no additional information. This Saturn-Neptune square receives additional stimulation from two grand crosses. The one with Vesta, Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune that I just talked about, and the one with Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune that I'll be discussing in a moment. Also, on Friday, June 17th, are you ready to balance and integrate specific aspects of your feminine nature? It might be easier than you think under a Venus-Juno-Pallas-Athena grand trine. It started today on June 17th, peaks on June 20th, and ends on June 23rd. Cancerian Venus represents feminine nurturing, such as a mother caring for her child. Libran Juno can stand for a devoted partner focused primarily on her romantic relationship. Sounds pretty much like a stereotypical 1950s relationship so far, doesn't it? But the third member of this grand trine, Piscean Pallas Athena, adds the modern twist. Pallas is the warrior goddess, represented by such heroes as Wonder Woman, the Avengers Black Widow, or Xena the warrior princess. She acts as she will, excels in strategy, and can totally duke it out if she has to. Can you blend all these feminine aspects together, nurturing, romantic devotion, and all the independence you need? This grand trine can make it easy to get started, but you'll need to mine the trine to receive its full benefit. Also, Friday, June 17th, Venus transits Cancer today through July 11th. Take advantage of this warm and fuzzy placement to bring more heartfelt connection to your important relationships. This is a good time to deal with financial security issues and bring forward creative expressions that deeply touch people's hearts. Finally, on Friday, June 17th, your healing and mentoring abilities can get a boost of creative inspiration with Mercury quintile Chiron. Mercury, 7 Gemini, Chiron, 25 Pisces. We have no major astrology events on Saturday, June 18th. On Sunday, June 19th, we already have one grand cross in effect involving the Jupiter-Saturn-Neptune T-square, with Vesta holding the fourth corner, and I've already told you about that on this show. Today, on June 19th, Mercury forms a second grand cross with Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune. It peaks on June 21st and ends on June 23rd. If you've been following my forecast lately, you may have memorized the core potentials of the Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune T-square by now. I think this is the third time on this podcast I'm mentioning them. Law of attraction, embodied awakening, and structural disintegration / inspired reconstruction. So, what new meaning does Mercury bring to the party? The winged messenger, empowered in its own sign of Gemini, can inspire you to educate yourself more deeply in these areas. It can help you teach others about these subjects, or to focus your mind into any of these areas to benefit yourself or others. Also, on Sunday, June 19th, things can get unpredictable, even volatile, with Mars quincunx Uranus, Mars 24 Scorpio, Uranus 24 Aries. Avoid people in situations where angry or violent outbursts are likely. Use this energy positively by tuning into your intuitive flashes and taking immediate action on them. Positive personal transformation and sacred sex can also be powerfully catalyzed. Monday, June 20th. If there's ever been a day I've forecasted that had more words in it and more major events, I cannot remember what it was. You might want to get a cup of tea or settle in comfortably before we go into this day. June's full moon shines forth at 7:02 a.m. and 16 seconds Eastern Daylight Time. That's with the moon at 29 degrees, 32 minutes Sagittarius. How are you feeling about your current approach to religion, philosophy, and life purpose? Are there important things you need to learn or teach? Would you benefit from deeper exposure to foreign cultures, either by traveling to them or letting their influence come to you? Do you have plenty of celebration, joy, and enthusiasm in your life? A full moon is a great time for course corrections. This full moon features two significant aspect patterns. First, we've got a T-square with the moon, sun, Venus, and Chiron. The sun and Venus oppose the moon, and they all square Chiron to form that T-square, which is a right triangle, geometrically speaking. This increases the likelihood of wounding, especially if someone challenges a belief you're deeply attached to. If someone expressing a different opinion sets you off, investigate whether your belief is shielding an unhealed wound from the past. If so, time for some shadow work. My perspective has changed over the years from what I believe is the final ultimate truth to this is how I see things right now, and my perspective will probably change. As awakening deepens, truth shades into subtle states of consciousness that can't even be put into words. Rigid attachments to specific concepts loosen. You understand that a person can't currently comprehend a level of consciousness beyond the one they're at. You become more comfortable letting people see things as they choose and as they're able. On the high side, Chiron can also energize you to help others by acting as a healer, mentor, shaman, or awakener. With Cancerian Venus involved, triggered emotions within your family, if skillfully handled, can set the stage for powerful healing breakthroughs. The same is true for any important relationship. And we have another aspect pattern involved with this moon. We've got a mystic rectangle with the moon, sun, Venus, Juno, Ceres, and Uranus. Anytime you get a lot of planets involved in an aspect pattern, there are 6 in this mystic rectangle, the possible interpretations start multiplying. But the one that jumps out at me focuses on relationships. Think about your most important partnerships, romantic or otherwise. How do they rate in these areas? Are you enjoying enough freedom and variety? How is your partner affecting your self-esteem? Are you receiving enough nurturing in the way you need it? Does the relationship support you in expressing your authentic self? Mystic rectangles are predominantly flowing and harmonious. This can be a good time to work with your partner to see if you can take any of these areas to the next level in your relationship. Finally, the only aspect of this full moon that is not part of a pattern is a moon-Neptune quintile. This opens the door to creative inspiration and magical divine connection. This full moon Sabian symbol is the Pope blessing the faithful. Moving beyond the literal imagery into a broader context, I feel this symbol as universal light and love saturating all who open to it. We no longer require an institution or another human being to call upon the divine for us. You can act as your own Pope, communicating directly with divine consciousness. You may even awaken to the fact that you've been God all along, entertaining yourself by pretending to be different things and different people. Next up, on this very saturated Monday, June 20th, the Sun enters Cancer today at 6:34 p.m. and 8 seconds, Eastern Daylight Time, marking the summer solstice. For the next month, the themes of family, nurturing, home, security, and the deep unconscious will be accentuated. The global summer solstice chart, which describes astrological challenges and opportunities active throughout the summer, is headlined by aspect patterns I've already discussed in this forecast. Those would be the Grand Cross with Vesta, Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune, the other Grand Cross with Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune, and that Grand Trine with Venus, Juno, and Pallas Athena. By the way, if you want visuals, those are on my blog at astroshaman.com. And of course in the video that follows this podcast on YouTube, which of course you can link from my site. Now, rather than reiterate the interpretations of those aspect patterns, which I've already done on this podcast, I invite you to follow the links to learn more or listen back. The links, of course, would be on the blog in writing. Beyond these aspect patterns, there are a few other things that catch my attention in the summer solstice chart cast for Washington, D.C. This chart is for the United States as a country, but if you're a U.S. citizen or living here, this chart also opens the door for you to take these actions. Jupiter, the North Node, and the Midheaven are conjunct in Virgo. This is an invitation to be seen doing your service in the world. Ideally, this service should be a direct expression of your life purpose. Actions aligned with life purpose tend to use your natural talents and give you great joy and satisfaction when you do them. Sagittarius is rising with Saturn conjunct the ascendant in the first house. Do you have something helpful or inspiring to share with the world? Can you do it well enough to be of service? Then get out there and do it. The South Node and Chiron are conjunct the Nadir in Pisces. The Nadir is the cusp of the fourth house. This is great for stirring up the unresolved shadow material that will serve your highest good to clear. Anytime you feel challenging emotions, it's your signal that an old layer of wounding from this life or a previous one is asking to be cleared. As a society, we're taught to distract or numb ourselves when these feelings come up or sweep them under the rug. This may provide temporary relief, but it also guarantees that these same challenging feelings will come up again and again until you do clear them. My free healing invocation helps many people clear these challenging feelings. And you can get to that by, I already told you how to go to the purple banner, Heal and Awaken Invocations. It takes you to a page with a few blog posts. The healing invocation is currently the last of those blog posts on that page. So this healing invocation helps many people clear these challenging feelings. I've found shamanic ceremonies, holotropic style breath work, and shadow work processes tremendously helpful in clearing and transmuting my own shadow material. Do whatever works for you, since every bit of heavy energy you clear allows your natural divine radiance to shine forth more easily. Most people wait till they're triggered to clear their stuff. My strategy is I don't want to wait that long. I want to go ahead and go proactively into environments where the stuff gets dredged up and cleared, because it makes it go faster. Now, going on with aspects to this seasonal chart here for the summer, there are 3 personal planets in the 7th house. With Mercury in Gemini and Gemini descending, you could gain new insights and perspectives by engaging with many different types of people this summer. With the Cancerian Sun and Venus in the 7th house, be sure that you're receiving and giving enough nurturing. Get clear on the types of nurturing that best support you. It could be words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and or physical touch, and ask for what you need. Continuing on Monday, June 20th, The Venus-Juno-Pallas-Athena Grand Trine that I've already described, that started on June 17th, peaks today and ends on June 23rd. Also on Monday, June 20th, another Grand Trine begins with the Sun, Juno, and Pallas Athena. The asteroid goddesses Juno and Pallas Athena form the foundation for 3 Grand Trines during the second half of June. The personal planets that complete these equilateral triangles are Venus, the Sun, and Mercury. The Sun, Juno, Pallas Athena Grand Trine kicks off today on June 20th, it peaks on June 24th, and it ends on June 27th. I interpret this mostly the same as the Venus, Juno, Pallas Athena Grand Trine. It boils down to the blending of nurturing, romantic devotion, and independence. However, the substitution of the Sun for Venus puts additional emphasis on making sure your personal vitality stays strong. There might also be more desire to shine these integrated qualities into the world for all to see. Also, on Monday, June 20th, a lot of events, I warned you. Today's 2 Mercury aspects are part of the Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune Grand Cross that started yesterday. Here are some additional interpretations for the individual aspects. Mercury opposing Saturn, Mercury 12 Gemini, Saturn 12 Sagittarius. Restriction of thought or speech, focused mental power, authoritative communication. Mercury square Neptune, Mercury 12 Gemini, Neptune 12 Pisces. Confusion or wandering thoughts, mental inspiration, intuitive clarity, creative writing. And finally, the last aspect on Monday, June 20th. The more you stay open to the divine flow, the more the universe will be able to sprinkle magical pixie dust on your relationships and creativity, thanks to a Venus-Jupiter quintile, Venus 4 Cancer, Jupiter 16 Virgo. Family relationships receive extra support. Tuesday, June 21st. The Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune Grand Cross that started on June 19th peaks today and ends on June 23rd. On Wednesday, June 22nd, creative inspiration can fire up more strongly today with Venus quintile Uranus, Venus 6 Cancer, Uranus 24 Aries. You might also get some great ideas about how to relate with your family more harmoniously. Also, on Wednesday, June 22nd, today's Mercury-Jupiter square, Mercury 16 Gemini, Jupiter 16 Virgo, is part of the Mercury-Jupiter-Saturn-Neptune Grand Cross in effect through tomorrow. Unto itself, this aspect can strongly energize thinking, writing, and communicating. It can also exacerbate motor mouth syndrome, so be sure to let others have their say too. On Thursday, June 23rd, an unexpected harvest of abundance is one way that today's Uranus-Ceres conjunction at 24 Aries could manifest, or it could catalyze new insights or experiences relating to sorrow, mother-daughter relationships, or the theme of release and return. With both planets in Aries, prompt action on whatever's arising in these areas is supported. Also, on Thursday, June 23rd, do you feel called to adjust your life to include more focus, purity, and devotion to your higher purpose? A Pluto-Vesta quincunx, Pluto 17 Capricorn, Vesta 17 Gemini, is happy to help you with that. This aspect can also help you create a more sacred container for your sexual expression. Finally, on Thursday, June 23rd, sometimes a belief that seemed perfectly fine turns out to need an adjustment. This could be the case with Mercury quincunx Pluto, Mercury 17 Gemini, Pluto 17 Capricorn. The world is changing fast. Don't let an outworn idea keep you from moving to the next level. Friday, June 24th, the Grand Trine with Sun, Juno, Pallas Athena that started on June 20th peaks today and wraps up on June 27th. On Saturday, June 25th, joy and inspiration are flowing in to support your vitality and family structure with the Sun quintile Jupiter, Sun 4 Cancer, Jupiter 16 Virgo. On Sunday, June 26th, Abundant prosperity and transformative spirituality are two great ways to take advantage of a Jupiter-Pluto trine. Jupiter, 16 Virgo, Pluto, 16 Capricorn. Other possibilities supported by this smooth and harmonious aspect include deepening your wisdom through higher education and immersing yourself in a foreign culture. A Jupiter-Pluto trine can also amplify sacred sexuality and deep transformation. You can also juice up occult practices such as astrology, numerology, mediumship, psychic perception, and shamanism. And that's just the meaning of the naked planets. With Jupiter in Virgo, health and service to others can be transformed and powerfully amplified. This trine will have lasted nearly a year before it's done. Jupiter and Pluto came into orb, which means close enough to connect, on August 26, 2015. They'll stay connected through mid-August of 2016. Also, on Sunday, June 26th, Mercury makes two aspects today. Mercury quincunx Mars, that's Mercury 23 Gemini, Mars 23 Scorpio, and Mercury sextile Uranus, Mercury 24 Gemini, Uranus 24 Aries. On the low side, you could upset someone by thoughtlessly shooting your mouth off. On the high side, you could take immediate action on your intuitive flashes. I recommend the latter. Finally, on Sunday, June 26th, relationship challenge, particularly with your family, could be stimulated by a Venus-Saturn quincunx, Venus 11 Cancer, Saturn 11 Sagittarius. If things get uncomfortable, see if you can figure out a more harmonious way to relate to that person. If your reactions seem beyond your control, it's time to get serious about doing some shadow work. This will allow you to root out the unconscious woundedness fueling your behavior. On Monday, June 27th, Chiron turns retrograde today at 7:10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 25 Pisces. The wounded healer will turn direct again on December 1st. This is a great time to start reflecting on what's ripe for healing in your life. Childhood wounds, past life karma, and shadow material are all prime candidates. As I've already said, I've found shamanic ceremonies, holotropic-style breathwork, and dedicated shadow work processes highly effective in working through this challenging material. You have to feel it to heal it. I believe that, for most of us, serious dedication to healing our psychological wounds is indispensable on the path to awakening. My current favorite metaphor for human consciousness is an onion. In the center is the light of 1,000 suns, pure, blissful, divine consciousness. Yummy. Around it are the layers of woundedness we've accumulated during our lifetimes. The path to awakening is inward through the layers. Each time we successfully peel a layer of the onion, the light at the core shines through a little more brightly. This translates to more ease, harmony, flow, and grace in our daily lives, along with a host of other blessings. And my free Heal and Awaken invocations, which I've already mentioned, are helping many people with this process. Chiron retrograde is also a time to reflect on how you can bring your own chironic talents forward to help others. Are you a healer, mentor, shaman, or awakener? Would you like to be? Imagine yourself engaging in any of these activities and start reflecting on what it would take to make that vision real. Everyone possesses these talents to some degree. Reflect now on whether you feel called to let your natural gifts in these areas blossom. Chiron can stimulate anything I've been discussing that's represented by the planets it's aspecting in your chart. Check your chart between 22 and 28 degrees in the mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. If you're not sure how to interpret Chiron's effects on your planets and points in this range, I'm happy to help you out with an Astrology Plus session. My services are described at astroshaman.com. Also, on Monday, June 27th, you have 1 week to cultivate the magic of a Venus, Jupiter, Neptune, Pluto mystic rectangle. It starts today here on June 27th, peaks on June 30th, and it ends on July 3rd. You can use this aspect pattern, which smoothly combines flow and initiative, several ways. Take your romantic or platonic relationships to the next level by connecting more deeply with the souls of your partners. Extended eye gazing is one of the easiest ways. You can focus on existing connections or invite in new ones. Receive an empowered flow of creative inspiration. You can also get a lot of creative work done. Express your creativity into the world exactly as it shows up in your imagination. No censorship allowed. And decide exactly how much money or other abundance you want in your life. create a formal law of attraction process to manifest it. I've already mentioned that I have articles about that on my site. Moving forward, there's several more things here on Monday, June 27th. A Venus-Neptune trine, Venus 12 Cancer, Neptune 12 Pisces, can be one of astrology's most blissful aspects. It smoothly supports inspired creativity, divine union practices, and relating with the divine in other beings. With Venus in Cancer, an extra measure of nurturing and healing energy is available. Also, on Monday, June 27th, a Mercury-Chiron square, Mercury 25 Gemini, Chiron 25 Pisces, can spark you to learn or communicate more about all the Chironic themes in my Chiron retrograde interpretation that I've already read to you. And finally, on Monday, June 27th, inspiration on how to step more fully into your authentic self is flowing down with the Sun quintile Uranus. Sun 6 Cancer, Uranus 24 Aries. Are you getting quiet enough to hear it? Nothing to report on Tuesday, June 28th. On Wednesday, June 29th, Mars, retrograde since April 17th, finally turns direct again here on Wednesday, June 29th at 7:38 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, and that's happening at 23 degrees Scorpio. In my April 17th Mars retrograde interpretation, I suggested productive areas for contemplation while Mars was backpedaling. These were based on Mars' planetary meaning and the signs it would be retrograding through. In brief, these were: Mars as a planet includes assertiveness, win-win sexuality, initiation, entrepreneurship, anger, violence, impatience, impulsiveness, inappropriate sexuality. For Scorpio, transformative inner work, occult practices, sacred sexuality, research, investigation, joint ventures, accumulating wealth. And for Sagittarius, enthusiasm for higher learning, religion and philosophy, adventurousness, foreign travel, and adventures in consciousness. With Mars turning direct in Scorpio, it's a great time to focus energy for amplification or healing as appropriate into these Mars and Scorpio themes. You can put your attention on the Sagittarius items when Mars re-enters that sign on August 2nd. Also, on Wednesday, June 29th, Mercury transits Cancer through July 13th. This can help you focus your attention on family and home matters. It can also juice up your communication with more emotional power. On Thursday, June 30th, the mystic rectangle with Venus, Jupiter, Neptune, and Pluto that started on June 27th peaks today and ends on July 3rd. Also, on Thursday, June 30th, today's Venus-Pluto opposition, Venus 16 Cancer, Pluto 16 Capricorn, is part of the mystic rectangle that peaks today. Its most important meanings are included in that interpretation I've already given you. And on Thursday, June 30th, the third grand trine featuring Juno and Pallas Athena begins today, this time with Mercury joining in. This is a quick one, peaking on July 1st and ending on July 3rd. As with the other two grand trines in this series, the blending of nurturing, romantic devotion, and independence is facilitated. With Mercury holding down the third corner, you can focus on learning how to accomplish this blending. Or, if you already know how, teach others. To learn more about how to work with Juno and Pallas Athena, revisit my interpretation of the Venus-Juno-Pallas Athena Grand Trine. And that's everything for this half of June. For a sneak peek at what we'll be covering in the first half of July, another busy astrological period. We got a really hot summer, no pun intended there. We're going to have a new moon in Cancer. We're going to have 5 Venus events, 10 Mercury events, 5 Sun events. Vesta is going to receive aspects from both Uranus and Chiron, and incredibly, there are going to be 13 aspect patterns. That's just a lot of aspect patterns for a half-month period. Some of the most important will involve Mars and Chiron, which is going to be in a grand trine with Venus, Mercury, and Saturn. We're also going to have a similar effect with Juno and Ceres in a T-square, where, again, Venus, Mercury, and the Sun will stimulate one after the other. We're going to have some mystic rectangle action. Both mystic rectangles will have Jupiter, Neptune, and Pluto, and the Sun and Mercury will be forming those. A Yod, Mars, Vesta, and Uranus, a T-square with Venus, Juno, and Uranus. It's a lot of asteroid goddess action actually mixed in here. So I'm I will enjoy telling you how to make use of those as they come along. Since we have the Sun, Mercury, and Venus fairly close together right now, they're sort of triple teaming a lot of these slower planet combinations to form patterns. So I'll be here as always to give you the best use of these energies. I hope you'll join me on the next edition of This Week in Astrology. You can hear my forecast on This Week in Astrology, but would you also like to get a free, concise version in writing? How about having it conveniently pop into your inbox? And while we're at it, how about occasional bonus articles on astrology, along with simple, powerful healing and awakening techniques? That's what you get with Astro Shaman's free email newsletter. To subscribe, go to astroshaman.com. You'll see the newsletter sign-up form at the top of the sidebar. And if you like calculating your own astrology charts, why not use the world's leading Windows astrology software and get it for the lowest price available? Astro Shaman is an authorized dealer for SolarFire Gold, which can also run on your Mac. To learn more or place your order, visit astroshaman.com. From there, click on Products in the menu bar and choose SolarFire Software from the drop-down menu. A free forecast newsletter and the best available price on SolarFire Gold. 2 great reasons to visit astroshaman.com right now. I have a few quick announcements for you. Information on everything that follows is in the What's New section of the homepage of astroshaman.com. I just did group healing work on a telesummit, and you can benefit from it now. My June 15th appearance on Awaken to Happiness Now featured 2 potent healing processes, and you can receive the benefits on the free replay. I also share quick, effective tools you can use on your own for healing and awakening. Free access to the replay is only available for a limited time. Join me on the Awaken to Happiness Now Global Summit with host Shefali Burns and 33 other transformational leaders. This incredible interactive event has already started, but free replays are available for any events you missed. Experience powerful energy processes, activations, healing techniques, and tools and strategies that will help you move forward and shift your life and consciousness forever. When you register, you'll receive access to all of the calls and an exclusive happiness kit to start you on your journey to a more fulfilled and happy life, and it's yours absolutely free. Register and get free access to this amazing network of transformational leaders, teachers, and thought-provokers, along with all the wonderful bonus gifts. So get your free happiness kit and free access to Season 10, including the potent healing energy from my replay, and you link to that again from the homepage of astroshaman.com. Just check out the What's New section. If you're in the Asheville, North Carolina area or Western North Carolina or willing to travel here, I'm going to lead an augmented shamanic awakening ceremony at the 3rd annual Lovolution Gathering held in the Blue Ridge Mountains near Asheville. The event, themed Sharing Our Gifts Freely, takes place Friday, June 24th through Monday, June 27th. Bring your open heart and gifts to share with our heart tribe and immerse yourself in epic nature, flowing water, and heartfelt people at Camp Lovolution for 3 days of sacred celebration, learning, and sharing. You can experience heart and mind-opening workshops, events, and celebrations, including Tantra, singing, compassionate communication, sacred relationship, Qigong, sound healing, yoga, shamanic breathwork, shamanic awakening, keys to empowerment, ecstatic dance, song and fire circles, musical performances, ceremonies, celebrations, and more. My augmented shamanic awakening ceremony will guide participants in simple, potent techniques for self-healing, spiritual awakening, and energetically assisting others. Shamanic tools and techniques such as rattling, singing, flowing energy, and other musical instruments will empower the group's experience. And this will be my last announcement for that. So if you're interested, jump on that now. I continue to offer very enthusiastically EASE, the Embodied Awakening Support Experience, weekly events via phone or web to help you enjoy more harmony, grace, and flow in your life, eliminate suffering, increase your intuition and synchronicity, stop mental chatter and challenging emotions, live each day in a peaceful, awakened state, enjoy support from kindred spirits on your journey, and much more. The online recording library, which now is in excess of 40 MP3s, all of which carry the power of the original events, lets you experience the life-transforming power of ease anytime. If you're around Asheville, next Tuesday as I record this, third Tuesday in June, we're going to have another shamanic awakening ceremony here at my house. You can sign up for that if you're interested. And again, I put up semi-monthly YouTube video forecasts with chart graphics following this podcast. And that's the announcements. For my final segment today, rather than doing a listener chart like usual, I want to just make a little bit of commentary on the crazy stuff that's been happening lately. Of course, we all know that the singer from The Voice was murdered in cold blood at an appearance. And then we had the worst mass shooting in U.S. history in Orlando at the Pulse nightclub. And if one took a certain viewpoint, one could think that things are just going to hell in a handbasket and everything's spiraling down. And I have actually the exact opposite view. And what I'd like to do is give you my perspective and tell you what you can do to make the world more peaceful and harmonious. You actually do have something you can do that will help, and it will help you too. My overall perception is that we are entering a golden age now. We have had several thousand years of separation and conflict and patriarchy, might is right, competition as our way of being, and that's pretty much all that shows up in our recorded history because it's all that we culturally remember. But in fact, for many periods of prior human history, we were living in flow, harmony, and ease and grace. We knew what we were, which was divine beings having a human experience. And there were many periods during Earth that were very paradisiacal. And we're moving into another of those now. So I say this and you say, oh my God, how can you say that with all these terrible things happening? And you could go on and on about all the challenging things that are happening, the immigration crisis and Russia expanding its territory once again, and terrorists and the whole thing. But the way these events work is as we transition from dark age to light age, it's like the dark age gives one final push to try to stay in control because it's the shifting of an age. It's a futile effort, but it always makes it anyway. And therefore, what we're seeing now is kind of the last gasp of the dark side. All the forces of fear and control and domination and conflict and all that things. I don't know this definitively, but I read that the shooter in the Pulse nightclub actually attended the club and was gay himself, or at least tending that way. And my speculation, for what it's worth, is that, he so hated himself and the part of him that was gay that he lashed out at outside himself at the gay people out there. And if you understand how homophobia works, it's so common that those who are the greatest persecutors of homosexuals often turn out to be homosexual themselves or inclined in that direction. It's a self-hatred expressed into an outward violence or an outward repression. So that's a sub-theme, but the larger theme is that we are seeing a huge upsurge in craziness and violence. Of course, there's astrological reasons too. We are still in a Uranus square Pluto period. The 60s, you might remember that as peace and love, but there were lots of riots and there was a Vietnam War going on, and there was actually a lot of violence during that period as well. So anytime you have Uranus and Pluto connecting like they are this time by square, then that's going to be an element of the picture until we make this shift. But I'm transitioning once again back to my main point, which is the reaction we each choose to have to all of this craziness in our world determines how the world operates. The way that energy works is as within, so without. In my own experience, I am choosing to cultivate inner peace and harmony as an ongoing practice. And over the many years I've been doing this very intensively, what I've discovered is my own life experience tends to be very harmonious. The really traumatic stuff just doesn't seem to happen to me. And I have other people who are, cultivating consciousness in a similar way who have the same experience. Their life used to be a lot crazier, a lot more challenging, a lot more traumatic than it is now. Because in the little holographic bubble of Earth, each of us creates our own little reality in our direct vicinity, and the more harmony we have on the inside, the more harmonious it becomes on the outside. So, what is your response to mass shootings? What is your response to Donald Trump? What is your response to things that really appear horrific and wrong to you? If you get caught up in fear and anger and all those lower energies, well, guess what? You're feeding the monster. That's what it feeds on. Therefore, every time you go to the dark side yourself and get caught in that cycle of revulsion or anger or violence or resistance, then in a way you just make the dark side stronger. But if you cultivate the inner peace inside you, then that makes a whole different experience. If you do things like my invocations or whatever you do that gets you there, it doesn't matter whether it's my techniques or anyone else's. All that matters is, do you get to that space of inner peace, and can you hold it more and more consistently and more deeply? Then that radiates out to the world as well. So every time you find challenging energies arising within you, you have a choice. You can get caught in that loop and spew out a whole bunch of dark energy, in which case you feed the monster, or you can choose to return to harmony and ease, in which case you feed the light that's growing. Now, I want to make an important thing. I talked a lot in this show's forecast about, facing your shadow material. And that is very important. The process I see people going through now as my clients and those who are doing my ease program and those who are constantly cultivating themselves is they are in fact able to maintain more harmony, flow, and ease more consistently, but they still get triggered. And the onion metaphor I gave in the forecast applies here, because each time we get to a certain plateau, it's time to get to the next level, time to clear the next bit of darkness that we got from within us, whether it was this lifetime or another. It's a bit of heavy stuff to clear. It comes up, and when you're conscious about it and you have tools to clear it and you understand what's going on instead of just getting blindly sucked into it, then you can take it out. And you get more harmony, flow, ease, and grace on the other side of that, infinitely deep. It just gets better and better and better. So, what I'm suggesting is my overall strategy here is a way of looking at the craziness in the world. There's a lot of very challenging, very disturbing stuff out there, without question. If you get caught in the melodrama of it and you let your emotions, especially your darker emotions, get stirred up, then, as I said, you're feeding it. You're taking energy to it. On a one-on-one level, the way this works is you have someone who tends to provoke you or anger you or bring up your challenging emotions. That person is harboring entities. I mean, we've all got entities. I've got some, you've got some, we've all got them. It's hard to be a human and not have some things hanging on to you. But it's a matter of what's the proportion of light entities to dark entities. And a person who's got a lot of dark ones, they need to be fed dark energy. So those people, and most of them don't even realize what they're doing. They're unconscious of the inner process at work. They will try to provoke you, and they'll ratchet up if you don't give them the response they want. And if they can't get the anger or fear or sadness or whatever it is they feed on from you, then eventually they'll give up and try to get it from someone else. And this is happening on a global basis too, which is why the dark forces at play are, inspiring people to do these really catastrophic events like the Pulse nightclub shooting and things like that. So my message to you is try to be conscious of the larger game at play. Please cultivate your inner peace the very best you can. And whatever practices get you there are good practices. And remember, each time that you do get challenging emotions stirred, it doesn't mean you failed or done anything wrong. It means, yay, you just hit another layer of that onion. And if you do whatever works to take it out, in my process, you ask the divine to clear it for you and just passively stand by while it does all the heavy lifting for you. Or if you prefer another approach that is effective, fine, do whatever works. But don't just settle for the stuff getting re-triggered over and over again. Get it cleared so you can be more on the bright side. And the more you are able to more consistently hold that more awakened consciousness, the more you help the entire world go to that more peaceful place. There are more and more people awakening every day. You may not be aware of it because it certainly doesn't make headlines. All the headlines tell us is the horrible things that happen for the most part. Maybe a tiny blurb of good news here and there, but it's the dark stuff that sells papers and gets people to look at their webpage. So don't get fooled by the media. There's a lot of great stuff happening that is not being reported. And I invite you to be one of those great things happening, to really choose to focus on your own awakening. Even more important when things seem really dark out in the world. Then it becomes even more critical to really cultivate the inner peace, harmony, grace, and flow and ease that is your natural state. And if you're not 100% in it already, it just means you've got some things to clear before you can abide in it more consistently. One more thing before I close is, how does this relate to taking action in the world? Some of us came in with different roles. Some of us came to be teachers of this deeper process. Some came to be more active in the world, to go out and get on the streets and make stuff happen, to protest or to help others or to, fight the darkness or whatever it is you're called to do. So none of this is designed to say don't do what you're here to do. If you feel strongly compelled to move in a certain direction, it feels in alignment with soul purpose, and it involves getting out there and doing something, fighting something, or promoting something, then by all means, go do what you're here to do. But in my opinion, even if you are called to be very active out in the world, it doesn't excuse you from the inner work. My guarantee to you, and I know this is true because of my own experience, or I certainly believe it to be true, I'm careful about what I say I know, is that the more you cultivate this inner peace, the more powerful will be your work in the world. Your effectiveness, if your job is to be out there doing things on the front lines, you'll be many times more effective if you are coming from an awakened consciousness. And I've had some people tell me, I don't want to get all awakened, I'll get all passive, I'll just want to sit and meditate all day. That hasn't been my experience. The people I know who are more aligned with their awakened self tend to be more active in the world, not less. So that preconception that I just mentioned is false in my own experience. One more thing I was just prompted to share with you in this section is a very simple energy flow technique you can do to help the world. It's an invocation, and the phrasing is very simple. You just say, "Spirit that I am, please flow the energy through me to serve the highest good of all sentient beings. May they awaken at the fastest rate that serves highest good. Starting now, thank you. This or something better." So if you do that and then you rest passively in breath awareness, again, my recommendation is don't actively visualize or try to send energy. The way this style of work is that your higher self is going to know exactly what's needed, and it has the capability to send out, trillions of rays of light at once, and each one to each sentient being, each one custom tuned for what that sentient being needs. That is, of course, way more than your ego can keep up with, but it's no problem for your higher self. So if you do want to do that or some other similar prayer or invocation or energy flow thing for the greater good, all of it makes a difference. So there's a little thing you can do just in the inner world that might help out. In fact, I certainly believe that it will. So, again, I was called to share this again instead of a Part 1 listener chart, and I hope it's helpful to you. And I invite your feedback and comments on this if you feel called to share your own thoughts about it. And if I get some emails that feel really juicy, I'll certainly share them on a future podcast. I'd love to get a dialogue going. You can email me at info@astroshaman.com. Thanks so much, and this ends this part of the show. Living a harmonious life can be difficult, especially these days when things are moving so fast. You'd think that those of us committed to personal and spiritual growth would have it easier, but sometimes it seems as if our lofty aspirations cause us to face even greater challenges. Fortunately, you have a map to guide you, your astrology chart. It can reveal a wealth of information about your soul purpose, your optimal career, and your ideal romantic partner. Spirituality, timing, relocation. Your chart, when interpreted by an insightful, experienced astrologer, can provide helpful insights into every area of life. And since the moving planets keep activating different parts of your chart, getting astrology updates at least once a year can help you keep focused on what's important now. But astrology is only the beginning here at Astro Shaman. We also offer shamanic healing, which can reduce or eliminate physical, emotional, and mental issues. Your shamanic healing session will also equip you with simple, powerful techniques you can use on your own to help you take your healing and spiritual awakening to the next level. We also offer other services to help improve your life, including awakening activation, electional astrology, harmonic astrology, mentoring, and more. All are equally effective in person or by phone or Skype. A digital recording of your session is included, and my guarantee makes it risk-free. If you don't feel that your experience was helpful, it's free. To learn more, visit astroshaman.com. I love my work, and I look forward to helping you. We're wrapping up another edition of This Week in Astrology. If you enjoy the show, please tell a friend or post or tweet about us or donate to support us at thisweekinastrology.com. You can link to my Facebook page where I post daily forecasts from thisweekinastrology.com and astroshaman.com. You can listen to This Week in Astrology on your smartphone or tablet at Stitcher.com. And if you're an iTunes listener, please do subscribe through iTunes. Help us keep our standing as the #1 astrology podcast on iTunes. Thank you so much for listening. I wish you infinite blessings as the stars light your way. This Week in Astrology is copyright 2016 by Astro Shaman. All rights reserved, although enthusiastic sharing is encouraged. You can access our free comprehensive audio archive from thisweekinastrology.com. If you'd like me to illustrate the weekly forecast with your chart, please send me your date, time, and city of birth. This also gives you a chance to win a free session with me every month. I welcome your personal questions for my live listener consultation segments. I also welcome your general astrology questions and feedback. Just email info@astroshaman.com. I look forward to making you a part of This Week in Astrology. Here's the index for this show. The overview begins at 2 minutes, 16 seconds. Thursday, June 16, 3:21. The 17th, 4:39. The 18th, 10:09. The 19th, 10:02. The 20th, 11:34. The 21st, 22:14. The 22nd, 22:24. The 23rd, 23:04. The 24th, 24:12. The 25th, 24:24. The 26th, 24:36, the 27th, 26:34, the 28th, 30:40, the 29th, 30:43, the 30th, 32:18. Next show's highlights, 33:24, announcements, 35:55. My commentary on the Orlando mass shooting and other negative events, meeting darkness with light, 39:30. Thank you so much for listening to This Week in Astrology.